This video was originally about 35 minutes in length, so to shorten it, I only removed the loading times between the start and finishing of the launching of an emulator, the middle of the download, installation, and scanning of the files through Emustation, and for obvious reasons, any and all Nintendo footage. Other than the sections mentioned above, nothing else has been altered or edited, and the end result you see in this video is exactly what happened through the process shown. Finally, due to the content involved, I have closed off the comment section because I'm not going to deal with trolls. That being said, now on with the video. Hey people, it's Steel Gamer, and this is a follow-up video to the stream I had the other night where I had a bunch of people, including Rocky5, just basically trying to create arguments out of nothing and refusing to listen to any facts. So in that video I pointed out that Emustation is broken. I would be making a video to that, which is what this video is. I know I said the word video a bunch of times. But here's the thing. The problem is on their end, and the problem with the modding community is they can't admit when they're wrong, and then they can't be wrong about being wrong. And despite all of the facts presented, I had valid ROMs, I had the emulators directly from Emustation itself. The fact that the emulators were launching and playing everything proves that my ROMs are valid, as well as the emulators. Now, according to them, they were like, well, you didn't put the ROMs in the right directory. I didn't have valid ROMs. So, I'm going to take care of all that in this video. Here is the actual emulators from Emustation. Got the Atari 2600, and for shortening of this video, I have only one ROM. This is the Game Boy Advance. And I have 3 separate types of ROM for these. I don't have any ROMs for the Game Boy Advance, there's too many of them. But those are the Game Boy Color ones. Here's the PlayStation ROMs. And here's the Super Nintendo ROM. I'm going to launch the Atari 2600. So I have this set up for Pitfall. That's me playing Pitfall on the Atari 2600 emulator. Let me go back to the launcher. And I'm launching them through the actual XBMC for gamers. I completely forgot about Nintendo striking down YouTube channels that show any content of theirs, so I skipped the Game Boy Advance emulator and went directly to launching the PlayStation one in this video. As you can see, I didn't even set this up yet. I'm just going to launch Castlevania. Now here's the interesting thing. I didn't even set the pathways up for PlayStation. I just selected the game and went to the directory. So there's no pathways involved in this. The last one is going to be the Super Nintendo. Actually, I'm going to have to cut out the Super Nintendo emulator. If I don't, Nintendo will strike the channel. Yeah, Nintendo will strike the video. They've been striking everybody down. My wife is looking at me, that's a little weird. I'm going to download Emustation. Now, keeping in mind, those are the emulators. You just saw they're all legit emulators. You know, they're all legitimate ROMs. It's not like this argument about this stuff being legitimate is ridiculous. I'm going to download this to F. I'm putting it under apps because apparently this thing likes to take over as the main dashboard for some weird reason. And that was denied too, even though, but I'm not going to get into it with that because this is about the Emustation being broken. So this is going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to let this go and I'll stop the video and pick it back up after it's pretty much done. I'm not going to sit here and leave it for 4 minutes straight. The current modding community is only using current generation information. So that is why they argued the way they did. And to clarify this, I have original files from one of my Xboxes that was modded in 2007. I have original files from that thing, still. And if you compare those original files to the current ones, you will see that the structure of them is exactly the same. The structure, I didn't say the coding. And for people to sit and argue that's not, oh, you know, you don't have that or you don't have, no, that's crap. Because if I have the original files from 2007 and you have these current ones, clearly you did not make that stuff. You edited what already existed. To say it only started from scratch in like, you know, 2015 or 2014 is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So now that I have Emustation installed here, should be under apps. There it is. Now, I'm going to do exactly everything that I said I did the other night. Once I installed Emustation, I rebooted my Xbox. So apparently if you put this under F, it'll take over as the dashboard even though it's not supposed to be. So I stuffed it in a subfolder where it wouldn't do that. And it picks up my Xbox ROMs, but it doesn't pick up any of the ROMs I have on the system. So this is a replication of exactly what I did. So, okay, gonna press A. They're saying that the emulators go into the emulator folder inside Emustation. ROMs are placed in the subdirectories inside Emustation's ROM directory. Okay, so this is exactly what I said the other night. The ROMs can only go into two places inside the emulator. When you have a standalone emulator, the ROMs have to go into a folder called ROMs. Now, if you have it standalone, you can literally put the ROMs anywhere you want and then set the pathway to the emulator. But in Emustation, they have to be in a very specific spot. People were acting like I didn't know that. And the only exception to this is the Atari Jaguar system, which I'm not using. So I usually skip that. Now this is telling you how to set up like previews in image files and everything else. So when you highlight a game, it shows you like an image or a screenshot or a video or whatever. Okay, now we're going to calibrate the screen. Okay, so now this is all that's here. This is all I did. Now keeping in mind, this is a replication of what I did, because at this point people are going to start saying, well, you didn't move your ROMs in the right directory. I'm just showing you everything that I did. Let's scan all systems. Yes, I'll auto scan my ROMs. Now keeping in mind I didn't set any pathways whatsoever. Now, if I didn't have to set pathways, it's taking a look at my Xbox ROMs, which means I shouldn't have to set pathways for the ROMs for the emulators either. Now I know that the ROMs, the emulators are not going to get picked up simply because the ROMs are in a directory the emulator's not familiar with. So partly the reason why I'm showing that aspect is because to show you the troubleshooting that I did to try to get this to work. Because if it doesn't work in one directory, you then place it in the other directory. If it still doesn't work, you then place it in the only other place it can go. Which means this should work. And it didn't. One of the things people, when they can't handle being wrong, will do, argue irrelevant points, bring up completely pointless information, but more importantly, they will start adding things to the useless instructions that already exist and then act like that what they said is actually in the current instructions and then use that to try to argue their viewpoint. All the instructions say to do with this is to do everything that I just did. There is no pathway setting, there isn't anything. This should automatically be picking this stuff up. And the argument about valid ROMs, I'm not quite sure exactly what Rocky meant, but the only way you can take that is, oh, you know, the ROM's corrupted. You don't have the right file extension or some bullshit like that. That's not true, because I just played them. Now, the emulators will not be detected unless there's ROMs in the directory, okay? So, there's the Xbox ROMs. Now I'm going to go into the file manager to move the other ROMs into its respective directories. Now, because the top of the screen is cut off, you can't really see what I'm doing. So to prove I'm putting the ROMs in the proper place in the Emustation, I'll point your attention to the bottom right corner of the screen on the right side because it shows the actual pathway to the emulator and the ROM. So I just wanted to point that out because I did this with all the emulators. So this is where Emustation said to put the ROMs. So I got to put the Atari 2600 ROM in the Atari 2600 ROM folder. I'm copying them because I'm not going to delete them. Now I'm going to go to the Game Boy Advance. And the Game Boy Advance is set up to pick up, you know what, just to be fair, I'm going to put the Game Boy ROMs inside the Game Boy folder because I have separate folders for these things. Oops, I should have selected all. Now I'm going to do Game Boy Color. Put them inside its respective folders as well. I don't have any GBA ROMs, but that's besides the point. Now I'm going to go to the PlayStation emulator, which is PSX. For consistency, I'm going to use Castlevania Symphony of the Night. If you notice, I'm not putting it into a subfolder. This is going to take a few minutes. This is pretty big. And now for the Super Nintendo, which is the SNES. Now remember, even though I cut out all Nintendo content, I still did this for consistency purposes to show you I did the same thing with every one of these emulators. Okay, so now we're going to go back out, going to scan for the emulators. Scan all systems. Auto scan my ROMs. It's going on 26 minutes. That's ridiculous.
I was surprised that I was like...
Well, it's like 20 minutes of video. I'm going to cut it down. Okay, so we're done. So, as you can see, it's broken. You just watch me place them all in the correct directories. You just watch me place them all the other places, and they are not here. That ends the damn debate on who is correct on this. This is broken, and you can all kiss my ass. Rocky, fuck you. This Teal Gamer signing off. Have a good day or night wherever you are.